The hustle culture, it seems like everybody's talking about it. I put entrepreneur in my bio, and it seems like everybody's hustling here, hustling there, when in reality, it seems like that a lot of those people are not really getting ahead further. Now, Gary Vee is the epitome of this culture, and I kind of have a two-way relationship with him. You know, on the one hand, he was the aggregator of what you see right now. You know, he was the one who took me out of this hole. He was the one who gave me motivation, sparked me with a lot of new ways of thinking, actually, and broadening my horizon, being responsible for me making the shift, quitting my job, going full in on this whole social media journey and stuff like that. But on the other hand, if I would have blindly listened to what he says and just execute it without thinking a little bit for myself, I'm sure I would have not been where I am right now. I probably would have gone back to finish my law degree. Probably right now I would have ended up, you know, at a boring dead-end 9-to-5 job being a lawyer, you know, that everybody loves to be, because, you know, it's just depicted like it's the best thing ever. And don't get me wrong, people, I'm not here to shit on Gary Vee, not at all. I'm just trying to, you know, give you a little bit of a unique, different perspective, kind of opening your channels to kind of the same way that Gary Vee did with me years ago, and kind of make you look at things from a different angle, because sometimes that's important. So, you're at point zero and you don't really know what to do yet. You just know that you want to break out of this whole shell and kind of want to start something online. And there's all these different things of information flooding towards you. For example, different gurus seemingly telling you the exact opposites from each other. But there's still one thing that all of these people kind of have in common: the hustle culture. You have to hustle. And I fully agree on that. See, I hustle constantly, all the time. I barely can't sit still watching a movie because there's all these different ideas in my head, all these things that I know that I have to do in order to get ahead. So in that regard, I agree 100% with my dear friend Gary Vee. But I think a lot of people understand this whole thing the wrong way. See, when I say I constantly hustle, I constantly have to work, it actually does not feel like work. For example, years ago, when I came to the city, I started a job at McDonald's, and I worked at McDonald's for a full 6 hours. After 6 hours, it's just, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry for all of you McDonald's workers, but it was not for me. And these 6 hours of work, of actual work, that had nothing to do with what I liked and, you know, all the things that were going on in my head, were more emotionally draining than probably even the whole past year of sometimes working 15-hour days here at my business, at my brand, at my agency, for example. You know, my mental health did not suffer in any way. And this is where I think a lot of up-and-coming entrepreneurs in the social media scene, for example, take it the wrong way. Because mental health, my friends, is a lot more important than you might think. You know, they feel like they constantly need to work on something. They constantly need to sit down and do 14-hour days because, for example, Gary Vee tells them to. You know, never treat yourself. Put your head into the ground for 10 years. You know, no luxury, no goods, no vacation, no new iPhone, stuff like that. And if you're gonna go through hell and through dirt for 10 years straight without treating yourself, things are going to happen. At least that's what they all, you know, think. But that's actually not true, my friends. Everybody's different. You know, for Gary, it's probably a natural thing to be constantly, you know, running around, constantly having stuff in his head. You never taking a break. You know, I listened to a recent interview where he was like, you know, even when he goes to take a piss, he kind of cuts it off from the next interview, you know, just because he doesn't have time to lose. But me, for example, I could not do that at all. You know, I need a vacation, for example. I need some headspace. I need to take my time to switch off, completely switch off. I need to treat myself, you know. I recently bought a car, for example. All right, a nice car. I love it dearly. My Tesla. I don't know if you've seen the video. And if I listened to Gary Vee's advice, it would have probably been a lot better decision to, you know, take all the money that I put into this car to invest back in my business. And of course, I 100% agree with that. Just as a straight soul business decision, it would have been a 1,000 times better. But here's the thing. Seeing the way that I work, the way that my brain works, the way that I function, you know, treating myself, for example, with this car, gives me a lot of motivation, gives me a little bit of a feedback loop, gives me, you know, new sparks to go on these new journeys. And for example, if I wouldn't have done that, of course, I'm not just saying right now the thing about the car, but just in general, if, for example, no vacation at all or nothing, my mental health would have suffered a lot on it. And that's actually a big thing in this whole journey. If you're watching this video, for example, thinking about doing the same, starting a personal brand, going on, to put yourself out there, starting an agency, whatever, becoming a YouTuber, because it's going to be draining, my friends. And this is where I wholeheartedly agree with Gary Vee. It's going to be draining. You're gonna have to go through a lot of just the way you approach it has not necessarily have to be exactly the way that he says. And there's going to be some times when you're like on your low level and you don't know what to do after, when you're like stuck, nothing's happening for you. It seems like you've been doing content for 5-6 months without any results at all, for example on YouTube, which was kind of like the way with when I first started, by the way. But if you don't know how to motivate yourself, again, just you sitting there and just straight hustling and, putting your head into the ground and kind of, plowing through, if you go about it the wrong way, don't get me wrong, but I think your mental health could suffer a lot from that, which is really bad, because then you're just going to be pissed off and you're going to quit, which, by the way, then it results probably in this thing being mentally draining for you, kind of like you had a normal job. And then all of a sudden, these 14-hour days might feel like 14-hour work days where you're super drained, where you don't want to do it. And sometimes it is a little bit like that. Just putting that out there. And this, by the way, if you're gonna have the notion that this video is kind of like just a hate video on Gary Vee, not at all, my friends, not at all. I highly admire this guy. I learned so much from him. I just want you to kind of start thinking a little bit outside the box. And this is actually where, when I think back to my beginnings, where I first started seeing some results on my business, for example, on my channel here, on my Instagram, actually thinking about it when I stopped listening to Gary Vee. Because, I caught myself watching these videos day after day, and I was kind of shell-shocked in a way, because there's so many inputs, outputs, I didn't know what to do anymore. So I was kind of, shell-shocked in a way. And then again, the other thing which kept me from actually doing things was watching Gary do his things that he does really well, and kind of like a mental masturbation thing in a way. Like, I felt good watching that. I was kind of like, envisioning things, what if that was me? But actually it kept me away from doing things myself. Then I kind of went ahead, tried to put my focus into one thing only, which was growing my brand and my agency at that time. And things just started seem to work all of a sudden. Here's the thing though. I wasn't constantly hustling. I wasn't, never having vacation, anything like that. I was just trying to work a little bit smart and not hard. And I'm not saying that I'm smart, because I'm not. Actually, I'm not. You're probably a lot smarter than me, but just saying that. But I was not constantly in the hustle zone. And, I get it. This video is actually me trying to give all of you something along the way who are not at my level, for example. And things, just trying to reflect back on it, how I, the advice that I would have loved to get at this stage. And I think a lot of people, they come from traditional jobs, and they kind of have it in their mind, in their thinking, all right, X amount of hours equals X amount of pay, X amount of money. And this is why they hear Gary Vee and all these other gurus saying, putting 14 hours a day and you're going to get to the results. But if you put in 14 hours a day, if you have your own business and you don't know exactly where to put your valuable time in it, and you just sit there for 12 hours thinking about stuff and for 2 hours doing stuff, I don't know if those 14-hour days are well spent. And I think actually Gary talks about these very things, but people, I feel like people might not actually know what he means with that. Because I'm 100% sure Gary Vee thinks about that. It's a normal baseline thing for him that people, go about it the smart way. And if he talks that he's hustling constantly, he's just hustling the smart way and not the hard way. But people might not read between the lines, and people might not understand that. For example, recent studies have shown that, if you cut down the work week, for traditional workers, the output is a lot higher. And, this goes back to the 80-20 rule, which is something that I constantly, it's my credo. It's actually the way that I work. Put in 20% of the effort, and you're going to get 80% of the results. And this is just true the way that it is. And sometimes it's actually good that way, because if you just put in 20%, it's going to feel a lot more anyway. And second of all, you're going to need some time for yourself. You're going to need some time to get some headspace. You're going to need some mental space for yourself in order to not get in this weird tube of thinking. Anyway, point of this whole video here is, and it was kind of a ranty video, bear with me. At the end, it's all about motivation, and it's all about happiness, and it's about mental health, because it's a serious thing lately. I tell you how it is, especially with social media. We might not be aware of that right now. I'm gonna make a video about this whole topic, especially mental health in regards to social media and Instagram especially. But what I wanted to say, in the end, it's really about motivation, happiness, being smart about yourself, and actually questioning things, no matter who it comes from. You know, if it's the best business advice guru out there, for social media advice guru out there, for example, you know, it's still healthy to question everybody out there. Because in the end, all the answers are out there on the internet right now. I can guarantee you that. It's just about finding the right questions. Anyway, thanks for watching here. Usually we talk about social media marketing. Shameless self-plug here at the end, my friends. You know, if you're at this stage where you don't know really where to start, you know, if you want to build an online brand, want to become a online brand, build something on social media, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, maybe even. First of all, you should subscribe. Second of all, I have made this new free PDF for you telling you exactly how to build your fan base online, how to turn your followers into fans and eventually paying clients. Because in the end, you know, it would not be too bad if they would actually give you a little bit of money at least to get by, you know. Anyway, this is totally free. Don't catch about it, actually. Put a lot of hard work into it, and I guarantee you it's really valuable. So down below in the description is the thing to download it for free. And I'm going to talk to you about some interesting things in a couple of days. My name is Dominic, by the way. Live stream was amazing. By the way, thanks for 20,000 subscribers. You know, I didn't want to address this in this video because I want to do a whole different video just based around that, but it's just going on in my mind. So I just had to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thanks for being here, even when I go on these long rants, which a lot of people are actually okay with. So, my name is Dominic. I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye. Tune into my next live stream. I really dig it.